Follow up from last time we spoke, just touch base on scholarship numbers. We're going to be either at 79 or 80 heading into the fall. 6 of those former walk-ons that were put on scholarship. We'll always evaluate our current walk-ons at the end of camp if we have guys that are deserving being put on scholarship and those type of things. Recruiting, kind of going back, 19 classes full, all 25 spots filled, counting two spots forward in the 20 class. So that's kind of where we're at from a scholarship standpoint. Going back to 4 days in now, yesterday was probably our best work we've had of the 4. I thought we really competed well. Some really high points on offense, high points on defense. We're 2 spotting in practice. So every team period, every group period we have a gold unit and a blue unit. So we're getting compounded reps. And what I mean by that, if we're doing a 7-on-7 period, we're getting 32 reps. Every time we're going 8 minutes or 7 or 8 minutes, but we're getting 32 reps. We got 16 on one field, 16 on the other. So everybody in our program right now is getting reps in all of our group and team activities. So getting a lot of evaluations done. This is an install. From an install standpoint, we're still throwing a lot at them. The older kids are obviously a little bit further ahead just because they've been here. Been pleased with some of the athleticism in our freshman class. I like what that group's about. All right, from the time they came in early June up until now, they've handled themselves the right way. They've prepared the right way. That's a good class of good people. Where they're at football-wise is probably yet to be determined. How many of them are going to play? I think it's too early. I think there will be several, though. Today, really disappointed in today's work. It's kind of a recovery day. We're out there for true work for probably about an hour, and I thought it was unfocused and probably our most disappointing of the 4. And so we've got to get better. I just didn't like our approach. You got to have a mature approach. I thought we were mentally weak today, 4 days in, and so we've got to improve that. With that, I'll open up questions.
What have you seen from the quarterbacks so far through just a couple days?
Yeah, so y'all got to watch practice 2, and I think that was probably similar how it's gone for the 4 days. I think some highs and some lows. They're getting more reps than they did in the spring just because we've got more bodies. Jack and Austin probably have the best understanding of what we're doing right now. It's a little slower for them. I think that our completion percentages and our decision making are up from the spring, which is a positive. I think Trey Lowe is really came. I think he had his best day yesterday. I thought he had a really solid day. It's slowing down for him. We still got to remember he's a freshman, redshirt freshman, and so the game's slowing down. And then Daigie's done some positive things. He can throw the football. He's real poised. He's getting accustomed to how we do things just because these are his first practices. But I'm pleased where they're at. But we've got a long way to go also.
Where are your running backs in terms of being receivers? You even seem to flank them out on occasion, throw it to them a good bit. Are they better than you thought?
Yeah,
Where you want them to be?
Well, it's something we've really, coming out of spring, we realized that, hey, we've got some talent at running back. We're going to have to use them in a variety of ways. So we challenged particularly Sinkfield and McCoy, to really work on some receiving skills, route running, those type of things during the summer. And we are. And I think they're going to help us in those spots. We're going to give us some versatility, what we're doing offensively, be able to stay in the same personnel groupings and present different formations. So, yes, I am. I'm pleased with where both of those guys are as far as learning. Pettaway's getting better at it as well.
Coach, what does adding, Davey to this team mean? I mean, obviously, he seems like the most experienced guy pretty much out of anybody, though his eligibility is in the air. Does he add anything and maybe any expectations?
Yeah, well, he has. He does have more experience than any other quarterback in our room. Not from an age standpoint, but just from a games played standpoint. I think the other thing, too, is, they lost some games. They had some struggles at Bowling Green, so he knows how to overcome adversity. I think that's he can probably shake off bad plays and shake off hard coaching a little bit quicker maybe the other ones right now just because he had to go through some of that. But, yeah, I think it helps in that room. Played in a very similar system in high school. A lot of the same pass concepts at Bowling Green under the previous coaching staff. So I think it's a positive. Like you said, whether he'll be ready to go or eligible for this year is to be determined. but I do like where he's at. I think he's done a really good job over the last couple months working on his body, and so that's positive to him.
When you talk about practice today, were you upset with the missed assignments, execution, enthusiasm?
No, I didn't like our mental approach at all, John. I thought that it was very immature. I thought our leadership was lacking. It was a little hot. We're day 4 into it, and I just didn't think we responded very well. I thought that, the whole deal is, and I believe this, if you do little things right and you prepare and you work hard, then good things are going to happen. But I think the opposite's also true. If you're not mentally prepared, if you're not taking care of your body, okay, if you're not focusing on details, well, in the same aspect, that ball will find you and you will be exposed. And we had some guys get exposed today because they weren't ready to go.
How do you feel about punting?
Yeah, next question. So, I don't know yet.
Having Hensley and Benton out there in white, not red, not green, what does that mean for you, and what do they have to do to get where you need them to be?
Yeah, I think Adam has done extremely well. His injury happened quite a bit later than the other ACO guys, and he put in a ton of work. His rehab has been off the charts, according to Vince and our athletic training crew. So pleased with him. And then Charlie is, really worked hard, especially over the last couple of months, put himself in position. They're a little bit behind as far as learning. We need for both those guys. Particularly Hensley, he can be a factor for us on special teams. He's just playing catch up a little bit because he didn't have those reps in the spring, but it is good and should be noted as well. I think our athletic training staff did a great job getting those guys ready in a pretty efficient time.
You don't have to name names, but when you speak of mental weakness, what are some specific?
No, I think it happens in I'm disappointed in 2 areas, okay? So the first one is guys that have played meaningful snaps, and they should be able to overcome some adversity, whether it's the number of practices, whether it's they're a little fatigued, whether it's just coach-created adversity, okay? They should be able to overcome, and I didn't think some of our older guys handled that as well. And then we got some younger guys that are having to transition. Maybe they were redshirted, maybe they were high school players, but they're having to transition. And where we're at as a football program, they're going to be counted on. And they understand that. I've told them, hey, your development is fast-forwarded, okay? Whether you like that or not, whether we like it or not as coaches, it is what it is. And your development is fast-forwarded. And to do that, you've got to have a mental approach where I'm going to attack every single day to get better. And I thought we had the mentality in both of those groups a little bit today as we're going to get through this and not improve at this.
During the individual competition, Sink made a pretty nice catch.
That was a great play.
Yeah, pretty good coverage too.
Yeah, it's a great play. Told Hickey, I'm start having you guys officiate these. When y'all come out to practice, the caveat is you have to officiate the competitions.
The DB knew immediately to weigh them out.
Oh, I know it.
So.
Yeah, it was. Those competitions are fun. I make this comment sometimes, but if you think about college football, we're really the only game where you go sit down for 20 minutes and then come out and play. You know what I mean? Like, you go sit in the locker room for like 20 minutes and you come out and play. So we try to simulate our practice where, all right, we try to go to something full speed immediately. Today it was one-on-one reps. Later on, once we get our team, like I think tomorrow we kick in and it's a full speed 11-on-11 drill right out the gate, and it makes them have to be ready. We had a couple good competitions today. I thought that Keith Washington going against Sam James in one-on-one, that was a competitive period. Keith won that battle, and then Sinkfield came out with Tyke Smith, and who's a guy that I'm excited about. And they battled. Tyke had great coverage. Jack threw a pretty ball, and Sink made a great catch and held on to it when he hit the ground. So that was fun. Good way to start.
What are the benefits of the over the summer players-only workouts? What benefits do they get out of that?
So, from a defensive standpoint, it's communication. All right, especially in the secondary. All right, from an offense standpoint, it's timing. Okay, now, Bob, there's the reverse of that too. There's some things where they're not getting watched or not getting coached, so they're getting bad habits. So the repetitions are far more important. But early in fall camp, and it's probably the same way across college football, is now that they're getting coached on every single rep, and there's film involved and all those type of things, we got to break these habits that they formed over the summer. Maybe that's jogging on and off the field. Maybe that's being in a lazy stance. Maybe that's not running to the ball. Okay, because that happens over the summer where they're not getting constantly reminded. So we're fighting a little bit of that. But I think the reps on offense, communication on defense.
How about the leadership roles that some guys have to take?
There are. That is important. That's important. It's and basically what we've done with that is a lot of that happens in the strength in the weight room as well, because so coming out of the spring, the players in each position groups ID'd who they felt like their leaders were. Coaches okayed it, but we let the players ID who they thought the leaders were in their position groups. And once those guys were ID'd, we went through a process of training those guys how we thought was the best way to lead that particular position group, and then they led different aspects of the off-season conditioning.
Bryce Wheaton, the guy you mentioned the other day, someone who you thought had a pretty good summer, now had a couple of days of fall camp. What do you think of what he's doing?
He would be our most improved player from spring ball to right now. Yeah, from guys that went through spring to guys now, he would be the most improved player. And he did. And I'll say this, like, he had a lot of adversity in the spring. Things didn't go the way he wanted to. He probably got coached harder than he's been coached before. He got beat a lot, and rather than tucking his tail and being sad about it or not doing, he went to work. He approached it, took ownership of it, that it wasn't good enough. And, he was I think if you go back and look at social media, he was the workout warrior of the week multiple times. He was one of the highest graded players coming out of summer workouts, according to our strength staff, and he's been really productive. And he's made catches on contested balls the last 3 practices. First practice, it was a little sluggish by him. And as far as, not sluggish, his effort was good, but 50-50 balls, he didn't make as many. The last 3 days, he's made a lot of contested plays, which is what we need from him. And he's a guy, he's as talented as anybody we have in our program.
Did Tommy Bowden have any wisdom to share with you, or is it just?
He looked good, didn't he? He looks young. He got out young. No, it's good. He's welcome here anytime, and he and Vic and Ron West, they all work together at Clemson, so I think that gave him added incentive to get here as well.
Neal, assuming you informed your team that you were disappointed with your effort today.
Yeah, I did.
As a coach now, the response, I would imagine, is going to be huge for you to see if it corrects or if it doesn't. You'll learn a lot. Is that correct?
Sure.
How they respond now?
Yeah, and I think part of it too is coaches. We got to do a better job getting them ready to go. And coaches aren't it's the same way. Day 4, they've been up here all day for 4 days or 3.5 days in a row now. As coaches, we got to do a better job getting them ready, and that starts with me. And so I think it's on us too to get them ready. And tomorrow we're going to have our hardest practice of fall camp. That would have been the case if we had our best practice today. But we're going to have our hardest. The first time we can put full pads on tomorrow. We're going to do a lot of 11-on-11 work. And so I am. I'm very interested in how we're going to approach tomorrow.
How much better do you feel now about the receiving depth than when you took over the team?
Yeah. If y'all remember, I told you back in our at some point during the spring, I said our receiver room is going to look a lot different. So, and it does. We've made a 180 since spring. We're playing at a lot higher level. Guys know how to practice. So now we've got to do it. We got to go out and do it in a scrimmage type and then a game type atmosphere. But I am much happier about where those guys are at, where that room's at now, than at any point during the spring.
I believe the talent levels, will you?
The talent level is improving. Talent level is improving, and we've got guys that are working toward their potential now.
Along those lines, offensive line, where are you at with them?
Well, I think Colton McKivitz, who sometimes get lost, and this is, if I was going to list guys right now 4 days in, okay, now we'll give an award at the end of camp, but on offense, most improved players be Bryce Wheaton, second be Colton McKivitz, okay, and he played at a high level in the spring, but he really attacked. I really challenged him. I thought he was pretty good in the spring, and I think he really strives to be better than pretty good. I think he just strives to be great. strives to be a high-round draft pick, strives to be an all-Big 12 player. And, again, go back and look at those workout warriors, multiple. I think he graded out from the strength staff the highest of anybody during the all-season program in his position group in O-line, D-line as a total. So pleased with him. Kelby Wickline is he continues to improve. Thought he got steadily better as we went through spring. He's in the best shape he's ever been. So he's been solid. Josh Sills has the opportunity to be an upper end player in our league. I think Mike Brown continues to improve. Chase at center is a little inconsistent. I like for him to, and I think he has the capabilities. He's got really good, a lot of the attributes who we look for in a center, he has them. He's got to play a better pad level, and that's a challenge to him. But then we've got to get some depth, and that's why we get in full pads tomorrow. And we can really go to work and work on our run game and things. That's where we need to see, okay, who's going to be our sixth, who's going to be our seventh. We got to have 8 guys. You got to have a minimum of 8 guys ready to play in this league, and it's going to be a great competition over the next 2 weeks to see who 6, 7, and 8 is going to be.
You look at your offense, your 2 best pro prospects could be those 2 linemen, possibly.
Yeah, I think we got some young guys that are going to be down the road. Yeah, but right now that's fair. I think Kennedy McCoy has an opportunity to. He and Petaway are both. If you're looking at early draft grades, I think that's probably a fair assessment.
What about keeping a guy like Kelvin? Because that's a very unique situation.
It is unique. I think it speaks to him. Yeah, I think he's very mature. It's a tough situation.
What has Colton gotten better at?
I think he's past that. I think he has less wasted movement. I think he plays with better bend. I think his first step is more explosive. He's stronger at the point of contact.
I understand it physically. He's improved too. About 315, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He's changed his body.
I think he feels really comfortable with the weight he's at.
You said I think several freshmen could play, and it's too early, but that 4-game thing gives you some liberty.
It does.
Some people are front of the season, back of the season. Some people don't even have a
it's a
prescription. What do you do with it?
So what we'll do is, at the end of this, kind of after our second scrimmage, it's basically we'll take a couple days. The players have got some. They're not necessarily off that whole time, but they've got off days built in, but we don't really practice as much. So as coaches, we go and we try to plan out our year, honestly. And so the new redshirt rule is great, but there's some strategy that goes into it, because what you want to do is you don't want to necessarily just play everybody in the non-conference or everybody right out the gate, because if you have injuries later in the season, you don't have those in the bank. So it takes some strategy, and we'll really form those in the 48 hours kind of right after our second scrimmage.
You mentioned Bryce. Anybody on defense pop out to you that's improved since spring?
Jeffrey Pooler's having, I think he's fundamentally on defense. He's doing a nice job. Jared Bartlett's a freshman at the bandit position that's done well. Quandarius Qualls, Q would be the other guy defensively that's kind of made a lot of improvement. And it's time, senior for him. Very mature guy, but he's had a good start as well.
He gives you some flexibility down or up, right?
He does. Yeah, he's probably our best ball get off guy as a pass rusher as well. Anybody else?
Thanks.
All right, thank y'all.